Okay, so when it comes to outbound messaging, there's a common practice of spin taxing, obviously, right? So we want to vary up every sentence in the outreach messages across the different messages that we're sending so that the sort of spam trigger Outlook and Google filters that are looking for duplicate messages and basically spam messages see a unique message every time we send an email. So every prospect's message has to be completely unique. So how do we achieve that? If we're going to personalize, one way I like to do it in Clay is actually with a prompt. So if we use enough smart prompting, we can sort of coax the LLM to vary up the phrasing while at the same time providing a template. So, what does that actually look like? Let me show you what I mean. So, here I have a template in my message here, and here's the template. It goes like this template. Hi, name. I noticed normalized company name, so I've normalized the company name so that it doesn't have like LTD or legal designators in it. Um, is really leading in core business activity, impressive work with the focus on specific industry challenge. So we've scraped for specific industry challenges related to what they do. I imagine energy efficiency is top of mind. Are you thinking about ways to optimize energy while staying compliant with energy regulations? So this is sort of a self-reflecting question to bring up the problem or challenge in the prospect's mind. Um, Driva, and then the basically the solution um, with the benefits included, and then a sort of a little case study sentence at the end. So that's all good and great to have, a nice templated message ready for AI to sort of do its thing, right? But what you end up finding out is that we get sort of the same repetitive phrasing and formatting of the outputs. So across the different prospects, it starts to look very much the same. Um, but at the same time, we don't want to have to spin tax because then that adds a whole another step to the process, and it's frankly just kind of a headache to do because then you've got to import uh, the spreadsheet that we're going to export from Clay here into the sending software, right? Like Smart Lead or Replyo or Instantly, and then you've got to basically spin tax every single message, which defeats the whole purpose of personalization at scale. Then, because now it's just impossible. So we have to achieve this with prompting. So how do we do it? And first of all, what's sort of like the level of variability across messages that we want to achieve? And I would argue, based on experience, we want to achieve at least a 60%, 50 to 60% variability across messaging. And so let's see if we can achieve that. Now, what I've done is I've already run this prompt. And first, I'll show you sort of the results and variability that we achieved. And then I'll show you the actual messages and then the prompt as to how we got to that level of variability. So, what we did is basically started off here, over here in ChatGPT. I imported a bunch of the messaging. And I said evaluate the variability across messaging. I'd like to aim for 65%. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit further. I think I did this before. There we go. So at first, we had a variability of about 20 to 25% across messaging, which is like just too low. It's too templated. The messages are too much similar. Then I made some adjustments to the prompts and then said evaluate it again, and then I gave it a kind of a target percentage just to so it's kind of aware of what we're aiming for. And it said about a 35 to 40% content variability. And then I tweaked the prompt furthermore. And how did I tweak that prompt? Well, it said it basically gave some suggestions. So it said you can change the introduction, the problem statement, solution offered, and CTA in these particular ways. So I basically just implemented those changes in the prompt, which I'm going to show you in a second. And then I did another iteration, and then we got up to finally a 60%, which is what we want. North of 50%, 60%. Really great if we can get above 65%. Um, and then I did yet another round of iteration to get uh, it even more variable. So let's dive into the prompt and like, what does that actually look like? How do you do that? Let me zoom in. So what I did, let's scroll up. It's funny how this gets a little stuck sometimes. So what I did here is, first of all, I added some unique phrases. So I said, compose an initial unique outreach message. Before I didn't have this word in. Before it was just like that. I said, compose an initial outreach message, right? Well, I added unique to it. Then what I did is I went down to a tone section. So I have this tone section in here, and you know, I told it basically, I created another section, and this is the template usage section. So this is really where the variability kind of happens, because I'm telling, in this case, GPT-4 Mini, how to use the template. So I have the template down here, but I've told it before the template, I've told it how to actually implement the template. So I've said use the template as a guideline, but apply your own judgment and avoid copying it verbatim. Customize the introduction more significantly. For the problem statement, tailor the wording to introduce varied phrasing and highlight specific challenges unique to this recipient's business. Ensure the messaging feels individualized and relevant. Solutions section, introduce more distinct phrasing or relevant alternative benefits, and then vary the CTA and case study phrasing, right? So I basically just told it how to handle the template. And then if we go down a little bit further, I have adjusted um, the final revision portion. So I always have a nice rewrite section in the prompt, more in the lower section of the prompt. And I give it a specific role, and I tell it to sort of rewrite the message again. And in there, I basically said rewrite the final output to sound more direct, natural, using varied phrasing, which is key, the varied phrasing here, to avoid any hint of templated approach. So this is really the real tack on that makes a difference here, because I'm telling it, I gave you a template, I told you how to handle the template, but I really want you to kind of lean a little bit away from the phrasing, and lean away from the impression that it might be a templated approach. So you really got to tell the LLM what it is you're looking for. And that's essentially it, right? Those are the little tweaks that you can make. So essentially, you can give it a template, but don't just stop there. Tell it how to utilize that template, right? And then towards the end of your prompt, add a rewrite section that tells it once again, what you're looking for. I'm looking for a very much varied phrasing away from the template. So hopefully that helps you in your prompting strategy to get more variability in your messaging. I'm going to actually run this again and make a couple more tweaks and see if I can get the variability north of 65%, because that's really good. It's been Travis. Hopefully this is helpful. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and until next time, bye-bye.